Peace, y'all. Welcome to The Void of Thought. We're all about athletic self-mastery. Leave a like on the video, comment, and subscribe if you'd like. Stay tapped in. There's plenty more videos coming. And check out my Patreon too. We're building something very special over there. All the links will be in the description. But for now, let's get on with this knowledge. Alright, y'all. So, I'm about to tell you the story of how I damaged the cartilage in my knee. My left knee, to be specific. And pretty much how it started and how it started versus how it's going. But how it started and how I'm overcoming it right now, and how I'm basically close to 100% healthy and recovered without feeling any pain in my left knee at all from the cartilage damage. So it started when I decided to go back to college. And so I went to a community college and I graduated in 2016. And then after that, after playing basketball at the community college, I was going to transfer to a 4-year college. And I had some good offers. I had some good opportunities to go to like some good D2 schools and stuff. But none of it felt right in my spirit. None of it, my intuition kept telling me it's not right. And I mistook that as the schools weren't right for me. But I didn't even like, I really knew that school itself wasn't right for me, but really, I wasn't listening to myself. I was listening to my parents. I was listening to my family because they wanted me to go to school and get a degree to use it. I mean, really just have it in my back pocket in case I ever needed it. And that none of that resonated with me at all. And so I ended up not going to school for a year from the end of 2016 to the middle of 2017. I wasn't going to school. I was only focusing on my basketball training and my self-mastery. And so that was like heaven for me. I was in I was in a better state because I was overcoming depression at that time. And I'll talk about that in another video, but I was overcoming depression at that time, right? And so in doing that, and having that freedom to focus purely on my passion and myself, I was able to make so much progress within myself that it was crazy. I surprised myself with how much I grew and evolved and expanded during that time, because I was free to just be me. I didn't have to worry about doing things for other people. I didn't have to work a job because my parents were still taking care of me and everything. I was in the perfect environment for me to really do all the shadow work that I needed to do, and also study more things like learn how to astral project, learn how to lucid dream better, learn how to really get into my subconscious mind and make my subconscious mind my conscious mind. So merge the two, merge the subconscious and the conscious mind. That's what I was really doing in 2016 to 2017. On top of that, I was training at Proactive Sports Performance, where NBA players train, MLB players, a bunch of NFL players train. And so I was getting that high level strength and conditioning training. And so my body, athletically, I was right. I was at my peak. Well, not even my peak really, but I was at a very high level. I was able to, because of that training, I was able to do windmills, 360s, tomahawks, all that stuff. And I was also training at Mamba Sports Academy. And this was actually right before it became the Mamba Sports Academy, but I was training there. And I was getting the best of both worlds, strength and conditioning and basketball. And I was at the top of my game. I was at the highest point that I've ever reached. I was in a great space. And everything was going so good that I literally felt in my spirit, in my intuition, in my heart, in my soul, that I was going to be playing in the NBA next year if I would stay on that path of just training and focusing on myself, focusing on my growth, focusing on my spirituality, focusing on my self-mastery. And had I done that, I probably would have been either playing there or close to playing in the NBA. Now, the thing that went wrong was I didn't fully trust myself. I didn't fully trust myself over what my parents were saying what was best for me. I trusted them because, they're the parents. They physically are older than me, even though on a soul level I know that I'm older than them. But physically they're older than me, so I trusted that they know how to navigate this dimension, this reality, this earth, this society better than I did at the time, because I was only 19. And so I was just barely beginning to really step into who I am and what I really am. And I wish I would have stepped into it sooner, because I would have made some different decisions. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And I chose to listen to them and to go back to college. And I ended up not having as many offers after taking that year off, as I thought I would. And my parents thought I would too. And so I picked a school. Well, really, it kind of picked me, because it was the school that was in the best position for me, and I was in the best position for it. So it kind of aligned that way. And so I went there. It was a good school and everything. And I love the people that I met there. I met some lifelong friends there. It was the people there I love, but the school, just me going to school itself in general, it was not a good experience. Now, upon first going there, now I won't say the school's name, because I don't want to seem like I'm bad talking to them or anything like that. The school is great. It's a great school. But just college itself wasn't for me. School itself isn't for me. I'm not that type of soul. I'm not that type of person. And I knew that, but I still didn't trust myself enough to fully embody that. And so, listening to my parents, I went there, and it started off pretty well. It started off going kind of well. It was a cool experience being away from home, fully, after, I think it was 19. I think I was still 19. So first time being away from home, first time living on my own. I mean, of course with roommates, but living on my own away from my parents and everything. So I love that experience. I loved it. Even right now, that's what my soul is craving. To be on my own, to provide for myself, to live my life, so I can even further step into my truth. And that's what I started doing when I was there, when I first got there. The school, going to school, going to class and everything, it was a letdown. But I decided, I'm here. It may not really resonate with my spirit, but I'm going to make the best of it. I had a positive, optimistic mindset. And so I started doing that. I started utilizing some of the practices that I taught myself, that I learned from other people, to better, to make school easier, pretty much. Things trying to tap into the collective consciousness of the class, so that I can get the answers to the problems without actually having to do much of the work. Stuff like that. It was working too. It was working. But the more that I went to school, the more that I went to class, combined with the fact that I wasn't really able to get into the gym like I wanted to, because my class schedule didn't really align with the availability of the gym. And it didn't, that, the combination of me not wanting to go to class in general, plus not being able to get into the gym and keep my skills sharp and everything, it lessened my experience. It worsened my experience. Because in class, I already didn't like it. So basketball was really the only saving grace that I had. And being that I couldn't get into the gym how I wanted to, on the court, the only time I was able to really get on the court was for team practice. And so, being that I wasn't able to put the work in that I wanted to put in, I wasn't really as confident, because I noticed physically I felt like my skills weren't sharp. Mentally I was there. I was right on point. I was right on target. But physically I was off. And just fast forward into the season, into the actual basketball season, I started off doing okay, started playing pretty decent. But I knew that I could average 20, 25 had my confidence been there, if I would have just been able to put the work in like I wanted to keep my skills sharp. But the situation was, I wasn't I wasn't really being utilized as well as I knew I could have on the team. And plus my confidence wasn't there. And I physically didn't feel like my real self on the basketball court. So it was like all of that combined with not wanting to go to class and be in school in general, but I was going against my will. All of that just basically brought my energy down. It brought me down dramatically. So I started feeling the symptoms of depression started to kick in again. And I started to get more anxious because I didn't want to go to school, and I stopped really caring about going to class. But I knew that I had to if I wanted to play basketball, but playing basketball wasn't really working out for me at the school, really. I mean, it was going okay, but I felt myself on the decline the entire time I was there. And just like feeling that and knowing that I'm declining and doing what I could to stop it and to reverse it, but knowing like it not being enough, it was tough, man. It was tough because it was like my passion is here, but I have this major obstacle in the way. And I viewed it as a distraction because that's really what it was. Because I wasn't even going to school really for myself. I was going for my family. I was going for my parents. And so, generally speaking, that was a huge distraction for me because I knew in my spirit that I'm meant to play basketball and I'm meant to do something major with basketball. That's partially why I created this YouTube channel. I'm sharing my journey because I'm embodying that now. But this experience is what led me to where I'm at now. But going through those extreme emotions, having like literally living every day depressed, stressed, and anxious, like the stuff that I'm used to from going through depression is like, it sounds drastic and very, very bad because it actually is, but unfortunately I got used to it, but not wanting to live anymore. Waking up and not even wanting to open my eyes, not even wanting to get out of bed, wanting to just stay asleep and just stay in my dreams because that's the only escape that I had from the reality that I didn't want to be living in. And so, yeah, it was tough. And then having, like, literally playing basketball with those feelings and those emotions every day, it was heavy, man. Emotions affect your body so much, whether they're bad or they're good. They affect your body tremendously. I wrote a little bit about that in my book, and how my emotions and how emotions in general affect your body and your mind and your spirit. But since I was dealing with so many heavy negative emotions, my body started to feel that. It didn't start to feel heavy, but I felt it literally start to break down. Because like towards the end of the season, or like during the middle of the season, I developed this rash on both of my arms, and I don't know if it was like ringworm or what it was, but I don't even think it was because I don't see any possibility of. Well, I didn't see any possibility back then of me getting ringworm from anything, but I had these like rings on the insides of my elbows, and like they just didn't go away. And like fast forward, like after I dropped out and I was beginning to get into a better mental space, they eventually went away. And so in hindsight, I knew exactly what it was. It was from the stress and anxiety. But my body started to my skin started to get really dry as well. And then towards the end of the season, I started feeling this little pinch of pain in my left knee whenever I jump off of it. When I just running, cutting, sprinting, jumping off 2 feet, I was fine. I was completely fine. I felt normal. It felt good. But jumping off of 1 foot, that's when I felt that pinch of pain. I was like, hold on. Is this like tendonitis starting to creep back or something like that? Because I've been through tendonitis, unfortunately, a lot throughout my life, but it's taught me a lot as well. But I knew how to overcome that. So after the season was over, I took all the precautions and everything, did a rehab, took a week off, or actually after the season, I took about 2 weeks off, and I was just doing straight rehab. And after that, after I felt like my knee was strong enough, I got back on the court, but the same pain was there. And the more that I played, the worse it got. And then I ended up taking another week off, did a rehab again, and then got back in court. And then same thing, same issue, started hurting even more. And so it was pretty much that same cycle until even after I dropped out. And like when I was dealing with the knee issue, with the pain, I knew that it was because of the emotional state that I was in, the mental state that I was in, and the spiritual state that I was in that was causing the pain. And so moving forward, like when I moved back home after I dropped out, it felt like it was a major weight off my shoulder, but at the same time, I knew that I was stepping into my true path, my true purpose. And so that was a bit daunting as well, but I was very excited for it, and I was glad that I did it. But at the same time, I was off and on the basketball court in the weight room for like a year and a half straight, not knowing what was wrong, just trying to figure out what the heck was wrong and what I could do to overcome the pain. And then at the same time, like I was trying to go to the doctors to get an MRI, but there was an issue with my health insurance. I had to renew that, and that took a year, for whatever reasons. And then I finally got an MRI. I was searching for answers for about 2 years. And then I finally got an MRI. And then that MRI revealed, oh, you have cartilage damage in your left knee, underneath your left kneecap. Okay, so what can I do about that? I asked the doctor. And basically, she said that there's nothing you can do. And the only thing you can do is just keep exercising, but just don't bend your knee past a certain point. And that's all that I got. Like no surgery or nothing. Like they basically just wrote me off and just didn't really care. But I knew that was nah. I rebuked that. Like, nah, that ain't for me. That reality is not for me. I rebuked that reality. And so I started searching for answers myself. And I knew that there was a way to overcome cartilage damage, but I just didn't know what it was. And so the answer finally came when I opened up about what I was going through, what I was dealing with. And two friends, I won't say the full name, but Orion and Matt, they both recommended that I try out the Knees Over Toes Guy ATG course. And that course literally changed my life. It's saving my career right now. Like, it's the reason why I'm making this video right now, because the guy, Knees Over Toes Guy, he went through like sort of a similar experience where he went through actual surgeries though, on his like meniscus and ACL, I think it was, but he was told that he wasn't supposed to bend his knee like past like, I don't know, probably like 30 degrees or whatever. But now the dude's dunking, he's doing like 360s, windmills and all that stuff. And that's the point that I'm getting back to myself. And it's a combination of me going through his course, but also adding in my own exercise, like the exercise that I learned from Proactive and stuff as well. And so basically, if I would have continued to listen to other people about myself, then I wouldn't be living my life right now. I'd be living their projection of my life. I wouldn't be living my life. So the main lesson that I learned from going to college and dropping out is that my path and my purpose is more important than what other people think is best for me, because ultimately only I know what's best for me. And the ultimate reason why I developed knee cartilage damage was because I went against myself, I went against my soul, went against my spirit, went against my intuition. I didn't listen to them. Even though I knew they were right, but I didn't listen to them. I listened to outside, external sources, aka my family, my parents. Like, they thought they knew what was best for me, and I love them. They love me, and that's why I listened to them. But that's why they advised me to go to college and everything. But ultimately, it set me on the path to learning the major lesson of things can only go wrong if you go against yourself. Every time you go against yourself, your life is going to get screwed up in some type of way. That's just a fact. I've seen it in myself. I've seen it in other people countless times. And so learning the lesson of trusting myself and really being a living embodiment of myself, of my true self, of my truth. That's why I named my book Living Proof, because I'm living proof of my living truth. So Yeah, I can go get that on Amazon too. I'll leave the link in the description. But being living proof of my living truth is the most important thing that I can do for myself. Is the most important thing that you can do for yourself. Find out what your truth is and live it. Find out what your purpose is, live it. Whatever path it takes you on, as long as it feels right in your intuition, as long as your intuition is telling you that it's right, your spirit is telling you that it's right, then do it. Don't question it. I mean, you can question it to gain clarity, of course, but don't second guess yourself. Always go with it. Trust your intuition, flow with your intuition, and just do it. Do what is required of you to live out your full purpose. And that's the reason why I'm here today. That's the main reason why I'm on this YouTube channel, why I made this YouTube channel, because I'm sharing my journey, but it's ultimately to teach you and guide you how to become the best version of yourself. Not to be like, I can't teach you how to be your best version, because only you know how to do that. But showing you how to become it, that's where I step in. That's where I share my experience, my knowledge, my wisdom, so that you don't repeat the same mistakes that I did, so that you learn from my mistakes, so that you learn from my journey, you learn from my wisdom, learn from my truth, and apply it to yourself, so that you can figure out what your own truth is, what your own purpose is, what your path is. And I'm just being inspiration, just motivation. That's it. It's all really within you, because all you need is you. All you need is your own spirit. All you need is your own intuition, because you are a God that is learning how to be God. Like, I can go into a whole different video with that, but that's what it is. And so, yeah, man, just a quick recap. The reason why I developed knee cartilage damage is because I went against myself. I was living in depression and stress and anxiety, and living with those emotions, living within that state of being, is what caused my body to break down. Even if it was just slightly, it's like a chink in the armor. That chink in the armor eventually developed into me not being able to play the sport that I loved, until I found out, after I expressed myself and opened up myself, found out about a course, an online training course that allowed me to overcome the knee cartilage damage, because of a whole myriad of different reasons. But the exercises, they physically work, and on top of that, my mental state and my spiritual state and my emotional state was in a way better place when I started. So it all aligned into me overcoming the knee cartilage damage. And right now, I'd say I'm about 90 to 95% healed and healthy. And so I'm working to get that last 10% to 100% health, and then beyond that, transcending it. And so, yeah, man, that's all I got to say about this topic. But that's the story of how I damaged the knee cartilage in my left knee, and how I'm overcoming it, how I overcame it / overcoming it. And yeah, so take what you need from this. Peace and love. And I'm grateful for everyone who clicks on this video, who hears this message. I'm grateful for you all. I love you all. Peace.